so risky to try to make a living with art. But Jordy was compelled to create.
Jordy was always chill. I've never seen her upset, but towards the end, you could see the darker stuff come out.
When she didn't show up, her mother knew something was wrong. It was enough to drive her to file a missing persons report.
I actually located a steak knife in the bushes. I just remember thinking, holy crap.
We want to talk to you about it, get your side of everything.
We were just horrified something like this could happen to somebody like Jordy.
Once I made the connection with the glasses being hers, I started thinking that there's a lot more to this than just a missing person.
Your fear is you're not going to find her alive.
Spring 2016, St. Augustine, Florida. A picturesque seaside town with a thriving art community. Jordy Hudson is in her element, fresh off a successful art show.
She stood out from everybody else. She was always into what her passion was, art. Me liking art and her being an artist, I kind of looked up to Jordy. Always nice, genuine person. Way chill, way mellow.
Her work was different than most anything I'd ever seen. It was very visceral. Jordy put her heart and soul into it.
It was real, and it was genuine and original.
Jordy came from a family of artists, and from an early age had a strong persona.
She was just one of those people that just was very confrontational. It was evident in her personality, it was evident in her art.
She was tattooed, she was real punk looking.
She was always on the fringe. She was always out to make a statement. A leader, never a follower.
In 1985, at just 15 years old, Jordy attends the University of North Carolina School of the Arts. After that, the School of the Museum of Arts in Boston. And by her early 20s, her art is exhibited in galleries across the country.
It is so risky to try to make a living with art. But Jordy was compelled to create.
But Jordy's success is not without its struggles.
Jordy had meningitis, and possibly as far back as her college days. She had issues of lightheadedness. She had some serious muscular problems to the point where she literally could not walk or talk.
Jordy was sick for a long time. I knew that she was on some type of medication.
In 2012, when Jordy is 42, she moves from Milledgeville, Georgia, to an apartment in St. Augustine, Florida, to be closer to her mother, Judy.
Jordy's mother was a big support for her. Her mother was her caretaker, driving her around and handling her medications, which were numerous.
St. Augustine turns out to be the perfect place for Jordy to continue working on her art.
It literally is an artist's hangout. It has quite a vibe to it.
St. Augustine's always been a pretty artsy town. Way back when, there was a kind of a big hippie scene.
In late summer 2012, Jordy's success hits a setback after her health takes a near fatal turn.
She could not speak that clearly. She talked about having had dizzy spells. She was having to use a cane at some point, so she was having a very difficult time with this meningitis. Her illness brought out some rawness, some real heart, real emotion in her artwork.
She put her illness into her work. You could see the darker stuff come out, and it stuck out. And I believe that's because of her illness. Jordy only mentioned her illness 1 or 2 times throughout the time I knew her. She wouldn't let that hold her down.
I just think that her having this fatal disease couldn't help but influence her. I own a gallery called Space 8 here in St. Augustine. And I gave Jordy her show in 2012. That whole exhibition was under the context of her dying soon, like very soon. In advance of the show, we always get media coverage. And at the time, there's a publication called Folio magazine. They were sent to cover her and talk about her art.
Very first meeting, Jordy was one of those people that was memorable in so many ways. I photographed Jordy at her studio. She was in bad shape. They're not pleasant, happy photos. She was in a difficult time of her life, so we tried to reflect that. This cover shot, I didn't direct her. She was so good in front of the camera, and she would just bare her soul to me. She was a dream subject, somebody that wears their feelings on their sleeve out for all to see.
She had a teardrop tattoo under one eye. That was the only tear that could come out of that eye because she had no more tear duct. Just sad.
It's so striking that it was hard to take a photo that didn't mean something when you take a photo of Jordy. She was a very genuine and heartfelt person. When I was leaving, she said she wanted to give me a gift. She insisted that I take this medallion and do treasure it still.
This issue of Folio Weekly is released in November 2012. Jordy's friends and family believe this will be her final art show.
Because we got so much press and because the story was so unique and compelling, it drew a big crowd. People were very excited about it. She was literally on her deathbed leading up to the show, during the exhibition. And I think it was just really emotional for her to get the acknowledgement for her art, not her, illness.
And soon, perhaps motivated by the show and the feature, Jordy's health improves.
It had gone into remission. I remember being surprised and being, happy that she beat it.
Over the years with Jordy, we would run into each other, would talk, and it's normally only about our art.
Here's an artist who apparently was recovering, who was getting stronger. She was back on the upswing.
She had that attitude that I'm totally comfortable with what we're doing, and she was great.
Jordy was just thriving and creating art in not letting her illness drive her.
On Monday, April 11th, 2016, Jordy doesn't show up for her weekly visit with her mother, Judy. That causes Judy to become concerned.
Jordy Hudson would stop by her mother's place on a regular basis to pick up a stipend for rent or for food. When she didn't show up, her mother knew something was wrong.
When 3 days go by with no word from Jordy, Judy contacts the St. Augustine police.
At first, we weren't really concerned. We get calls all the time. My wife didn't show back up home. She hasn't been home all weekend. And come Monday, she shows back up because she's, been out partying.
I wasn't sure if she was just hanging out at someone's house, never came home.
But with these kind of investigations, we have to turn over every rock. We started looking at police reports and hospitals to locate Jordy.
The day Judy reports Jordy missing, Sergeant Etheridge responds to an unrelated call at 88 Cedar Street in St. Augustine.
The homeowner had called and said he had seen somebody's personal effects in his driveway, some blood on the sidewalk, and he wanted to make sure that nothing had occurred, that no one was hurt or injured.
When I went up there, I started talking to the homeowner. He showed me a pair of glasses, and where the blood drops were, they were right on the edge of out by the road on the driveway, close to the fence. Took, some samples for evidence, just in case something came up of it at a later time. I went and collected the pair of glasses and brought it back to the police department.
When he returns, Sergeant Etheridge continues reviewing Jordy's case and makes a disturbing connection thanks to the photo of Jordy that Judy had given to the police department.
The photo she provided had Jordy in dark frame glasses.
I scrutinized the photos a little bit more. I was able to see the hinge on the glasses detailed, and I compared them to what I had in my hand, and it was a dead ringer for the glasses in her photo. Once I made the connection with the glasses being hers, I started thinking there's a lot more to this with just a missing persons.
We're thinking maybe she had gotten into a scuffle, something like that had possibly occurred.
Investigators worked to identify Jordy's final moments.
I watched the video surveillance. I knew she was definitely with somebody that night, and that was our first break.
Last time I saw her was when she walked out the door. No idea that would have been the last time.
And using every tool in their arsenal, they focus on finding answers.
There was video surveillance directly in the area where the blood was located. How did we get so lucky?
It was when we showed her the picture, and she realized that we knew what we were talking about and that she needed to fess up.
The day Jordy Hudson is reported missing, detectives have discovered her glasses in the yard of a home in St. Augustine, Florida.
Myself and Detective Watchcott went back out to 88 Cedar Street and started really doing a lot of more detailed search.
Not too long into the search, we discovered a large amount of blood in the bushes.
There was a significant amount of blood. But it wasn't just somebody tripped and fell. It was a lot of arterial spray on the bamboo, on the fence, and, puddles of blood.
There was enough blood that we realized something definitely bad had happened to Jordy. I was starting to look through the underbrush. As I was moving it apart with my hands, I actually located a steak knife in the bushes. I just remember thinking, holy crap. One of the first things that we did is we went to Jordy's house. I looked around to see, was there a struggle? Did something happen? Is furniture overturned? To see if any items are missing. But nothing seemed out of place.
As detectives are leaving Jordy's home, they run into her neighbor, Fred Stanley.
While we were at Jordy Hudson's house, Fred Stanley was trying to get our attention. We walked out to him, started talking to him. We asked him, hey, when's the last time you've seen Miss Hudson? And he goes, well, we were at the Giggling Gator bar the prior weekend, which was the 9th of April. She was supposed to show up at her mom's house the Monday after the time she was at the Giggling Gator, and she never showed up. That, in turn, led us to go to the Giggling Gator to try to get video that night of who she was talking with, who she might have left with, and just any information that could show us where she might be.
Detectives head straight to the Giggling Gator, which is just half a mile from 88 Cedar Street, where police located Jordy's glasses and the knife the day after she went missing.
The Giggling Gator is basically like a dive bar. We've been there for just various, calls for service, fights, or whatever.
I worked at the Gator off and on for about 12 years. We do get a lot of tourists, but at the end of the night, it's usually people we already know. The police. I was at work, and they came in and said Jordy was missing. You feel worried, and you wonder, if they're safe or not. The next question is, what's your involvement with Jordy? I'm just a bartender, and she's a patron.
With any investigation, one of the first things we start looking for is video surveillance. And I personally knew the Giggling Gator had a lot of video surveillance from previous cases that I'd worked.
The detectives are in luck. They're met with a treasure trove of video. They scroll back in time to Saturday, April 9th, hoping the video will shed light on Jordy that night.
There was no audio with the video surveillance from the Giggling Gator, so we have to try and put our mind in interpreting what the video is telling us.
The Giggling Gator was a little bit hectic. I noticed a couple of males that were in the back of the bar arguing.
They continue scanning through the video second by second. At 1:36 a.m., they spot Jordy. And she is wearing the glasses police found at 88 Cedar Street.
I was working that night, and she came in. She said hello. First thing I asked, how you doing? What can I get you? You could tell that her spirit was up. Jordy was having a decent night, a good night.
They also see Fred Stanley, her neighbor.
I could see Jordy come into the bar and that Fred was following her in. They ended up hanging out, having a couple of shots. And after a while, it looked like they got into a verbal argument. And Jordy seemed very upset and agitated.
You're just trying to figure out what was the incident between Mr. Stanley and Jordy?
It kind of looked like Fred was trying to get her to leave and she didn't want to go. Eventually, Fred left the bar and Jordy stayed and continued to have a couple more shots.
The argument caught on video leads detectives to wonder whether Jordy's neighbor, Fred Stanley, may be responsible for her disappearance.
We watch Fred leave the bar and walk down the street. It was never in any of the other video surveillance that would indicate he came back to do anything to Jordy.
By looking at the video, you can eliminate people or you can include people. And in this case, with Mr. Stanley, it excluded him.
Jose tells investigators he didn't notice anything unusual inside the bar that night.
I remember actually taking a break or have a cigarette. Jordy is playing her new pieces and stuff. She did mention, like, some of my stuff could be dark. She asked questions like, are you into that type of work? And I told her I'm very open-minded. Just have to see it and see if I like it or not. So I remember when I said that, she smiled and she said, that's cool. Maybe you should come check out my new work. That's when I agreed to do it. You know, like, okay.
Jose doesn't know that these will be his final moments with his friend.
Last time I saw her was when she walked out the door. I just remember her saying, I'm gonna go hang out with some people. I expected to see her later on that week. No idea that would have been the last time.
As the detectives continue watching surveillance footage, something catches their eyes.
We saw the outside surveillance cameras, a large male and a couple other guys taking their shirts off like they were gonna fight.
I remember there was altercation. There was an incident with two guys outside that I had to take care of. The bigger guy, I remember grabbing him and, you know, giving him a bear hug and trying to pull him back. He was a little bit bigger than me, intimidating. You know, the tattoos, the size of them. It was the first time and last time I saw that guy.
The large male was covered in tattoos. One was a big giant sword and head tattoos. After that fight kind of dispersed is when you see Jordy walk outside and begin conversing with this large white male with the tattoos.
They didn't seem like they were having issues, Jordy and the male. We noticed two of the males walk off with her.
The glasses were on her face when she left the bar at 3 o'clock in the morning. And then as of Monday morning, those glasses were in the driveway next to blood.
Whoever the men seen walking off with Jordy are, they are now suspects in her disappearance.
I knew she was definitely with somebody that night, that something had happened, and that was our first break.
Your fear is you're not gonna find her alive.
On April 15th, 2016, a day after Jordy Hudson's mother reported her missing, investigators have found surveillance video of her leaving the Giggling Gator bar with two unidentified men.
We saw the outside surveillance cameras and we saw her leaving with those two individuals.
Watching the video surveillance, I knew Jordy, but nobody else had a name. I had no clue how we were gonna figure that out. It's during the time that I'm watching the video surveillance that one of the bartenders says he recognizes one of the males and knows his name, Trinity Boykin. Trinity had gotten into the fight with the man that Jordy had left with. Trinity was not a suspect only because we saw Trinity leave, and he didn't leave with Jordy. So when the bartender told me that he knew Trinity Boykin from the video surveillance, that was my first clue that, okay, maybe he can have some other names for the other subjects. My goal at that point was to get him in to talk to him. When I ran Trinity through our police database, I had his information, his telephone number.
Detective Ochkai contacts Trinity and asks him to come in the following day for an interview.
So when Trinity comes in for the interview, we told him, you're possibly a witness and we just want to know the information that you know. He tells me that he had a history with Harry, which was the guy's name that he gave us.
Trinity does not know Harry's last name.
He tells me that they ended up arguing over an ex of Harry's that Trinity was now friends with. Trinity didn't like the way that Harry had treated her, and so it came to blows outside. But he says, you know, I left and I haven't seen Harry since. So at that point, we just start figuring out a way we can find Harry. This is somebody that we needed to track down and talk to.
As they work on identifying Harry, investigators are also trying to learn more about Jordy's movements on the night she disappeared.
At this point, we decide to look to see if we could find more video surveillance of Jordy after she left the Giggling Gator.
We weren't sure where they went, but we had some idea because the investigators had found blood on the scene on Cedar Street.
We hit every road and house in that neighborhood looking for video to see if we can see them.
There's a lot of bed and breakfasts back there because there's some historic homes. If you had a B&B, you certainly would have had some security.
One of the Airbnbs had a pretty good video surveillance system that had night vision that was pointed pretty much directly in the area where the blood was located. We were like, how did we get so lucky?
Investigators immediately begin reviewing the footage, hoping it will show what happened to Jordy on the night of April 9th.
It's very time-consuming because you're watching the video frame by frame, minute by minute, at the same time as it's actually live. You don't want to speed through it because you could miss something.
Though the footage is grainy, they spot two individuals walking down Cedar Street at nearly 3 a.m., shortly after Jordy left the Giggling Gator.
When we picked them up on video, that third subject was no longer with them, and it would just appear to be Jordy and this large white male with tattoos on Cedar Street.
Two people got to one spot. You can clearly see them walking down the street. You're like, okay, this is going to get me somewhere good. We're getting closer to finding out what happened on Cedar Street.
They're talking, and then at one point, they were walking down into more shadows across the street where we located the blood. And now they look agitated. They look upset. They look like they're arguing.
The headlights of an oncoming car illuminate what happens next.
You see what appears to be an upward motion with the male's hands as if he's stabbing the female. And the next thing you see is she's on the ground and he's dragging her body into the driveway. We had no clue that that's what we were going to recover, that it was going to actually be a video of her being stabbed and then tossed over the fence, and we were just shocked.
Detectives in St. Augustine, Florida have uncovered home security video. The horrific final moments.
I watched that video, and you can see him pick her up and throw her on the ground several times. And then finally, at one point, he picks her up and throws her over a little white picket fence and just walks away like nothing had happened. The difficult part was There's no ifs, ands, or buts in my mind. I was watching Jordy get murdered.
The police, they came and said Jordy had been murdered. That'll hit you hard. You'll stand back and look at it. I can't imagine it. It's shocking. Felt sad about her, losing her, knowing that I'm probably one of the last people to talk to Jordy. It made me think, okay, this is the last place she was at. What happened to her? Could I had maybe 5 more minutes of conversation? Could I had changed the whole night? That runs through my mind, what could I have done for this been prevented?
Well, everybody was shocked that could happen here. We were just horrified trying to figure out how something like this could happen, especially to somebody, like Jordy. I mean, it's unthinkable that somebody could do that to somebody that's so vulnerable.
Now I need to do everything in my power to find where she is so I can at least give her mom that closure that she needs to be able to bury her daughter.
Despite the poor quality of the video, police are able to determine the man who killed Jordy is the same tattooed man who was seen leaving the bar with her.
He had a very distinct tattoo of a cross, and you can barely see it because, again, the quality of the video is not good, but it was good enough that you could see that tattoo on Cedar Street, and it matched the tattoo that he had from the Giggling Gator.
Detectives have only been able to identify the suspect as Harry and have no way to track him down. They turn back to the surveillance to see if they've missed anything.
At about 6:30 in the morning, we see a car pull up directly in front of 88 Cedar Street, and the back door opens up.
2 people exit the vehicle. Detectives recognize the first as Harry, but they can't identify the woman who is with him.
We could tell that the female that was with him was very short. She did not appear to be taller than the car.
You can tell that she's acting as the lookout.
You could see Harry lift up what we believe was Jordy over the fence and put her in the back seat of the car. He gets back in the driver's seat. The female with him gets back in the passenger seat, and they drive off heading eastbound on Cedar Street.
When the car leaves, as it drives by, you're doing everything you can to maybe get some identifiers to the vehicle. We could tell from the video that it was either dark blue in color, possibly black.
As they're watching the video, one of the detectives states he believes the car is a Nissan Versa.
We were like, there's no way. We can't figure that out just by a video. And he was like, I'm telling you right now, I recognize the taillights and the headlights. It's going to be that car.
If they can identify the owner of the vehicle, it could lead them to Harry.
I'm trying to go frame by frame and get any information and get that tag number. We had a couple more tools in place that could enhance video, help us get that tag number. One of the guys that works there, he's great with video. He can do some stuff with video that's amazing. We aren't lucky enough. We were able to identify that tag number. At that point, they were able to identify a last name of somebody that owned vehicle matching that description.
We were able to pull up the license tag.
The vehicle comes back to a woman named Judith Branson. A quick search reveals she has a son named Harry. Investigators now have their suspect's full name: Harry Branson.
After we got the last name Branson, we were able to pull Harry's police record. And fortunately for us, when somebody goes to jail, they take pictures of all their tattoos. And the one tattoo that stood out with Harry's police record was a very big cross on the front of his chest and his skull tattoos on his head.
Eyes, the height, the weight, everything else with the tattoos, he was easily identifiable.
Now, knowing his name, there actually is a way we can find him.
St. Augustine police identify Harry Branson as the suspect in the murder of Jordy Hudson. They can't find him, but they do get hold of his mother, Judith.
She told us she knew nothing of what had occurred. She had woken up the next morning and her car was where it was supposed to be and she had gone to work. And all of us believed she didn't know what her son had done.
Miss Branson wasn't aware that he had taken her car, and at first she's like, no, that's not him, because we showed her a picture of him. The large tattoos all over his body and the head tattoos. And eventually she's like, yeah, that's my son, Harry. And she agreed to let us go through her car to see if we could find any evidence. We opened up the doors and we saw a lot of reddish brown staining that appeared to be blood. At that point, we sealed the car up and it was transported to the evidence text to go through and see if we can find anything.
At that point, Branson knew we were on to him. He found out the police were talking to his mother, and he ran.
Detectives believe their best lead to Harry may be the woman seen in the surveillance video with him, but they still have not been able to identify her.
We started looking for females that he could be associated with.
They discover police recently responded to a domestic dispute at Branson's residence. The victim in the report is his girlfriend, Christine Thomas.
We discovered that Christine Thomas was very short. She was like 4'11", and she matches the height description when she was standing next to the car.
So Christine's brought in for an interview.
And your name?
Christine.
Christine.
Do you know who I'm talking about when I say Harry?
Harry Branson.
Yeah.
We have had an on-again, off-again relationship since I got here in January.
Have you ever been to Cedar Street here in town? Do you know where Cedar Street is?
No.
I'm going to tell you that we have several videos from Cedar Street or Friday night into Saturday morning with a female that looks very similar.
It's you. Okay. I want to know why I have you at Cedar Street on film.
I don't even know where Cedar Street is.
She definitely is not being cooperative. There were quite a few questions that she totally lied.
That video shows you and Harry, okay, on Cedar Street.
And I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm telling you, Saturday morning, we have several surveillance cameras.
It's having to be pulled out of her instead of telling the truth.
This is Jordy.
Yeah, because I've never seen a lady in my life.
It was when we showed her the picture of the Versa and her standing there next to it on the passenger side is when she realized that, you know, we knew what we were talking about and that she needed to fess up.
Would you share with me what the first thing out of your mouth was when he called you? So you said to him, what the fuck happened? What did he tell you?
Harry said, hey, we need to go check this girl I got into a fight with. She tried to rob me. So they drove down to Cedar Street where the incident occurred.
All of a sudden, she pulled a knife on her. Well,
Pulled a knife on
on Harry.
Harry? Okay.
So he either went like that and pushed her or whatever, and I guess she flew over a fence.
Branson put Jordy's body in the back seat of their car. They drove out to County Road 13, and he ended up burying her body.
On April 19th, 10 days after Jordy Hudson's final moments were caught on video, detectives arrest Christine Thomas. That same day, they finally tracked down Harry Branson.
Branson had been on the run. He was hiding maybe a half a mile away in a little creek behind some people's houses.
Lucky for us, we were able to get the U.S. Marshals involved, and they were able to get him in custody.
On the way back to the station, Branson says he wants to talk.
What happened?
I about got in a fight at the Giggling Gator, and the people I was with took cabs and left.
As an investigator, one of the greatest things that we can do with a suspect is let them talk. So instead of interrupting him, we let him tell his whole story, because eventually the evidence is going to prove otherwise.
It was the girl and some guy. They said they was gonna give me a ride home.
Okay.
But we had to walk back through the neighborhood to go get the car. And next thing I know, we walk around the corner and both of them pull out knives on me. Started saying, "It's empty your pockets."
He stated that to protect himself, he killed her. He was scared, he was frightened, he didn't mean to do it.
The guy hauled ass.
Okay.
He just dipped out.
After Branson was completely finished with the story, the decision was made that we would let him know we had video surveillance. Once I told him we had video surveillance of the whole crime, he put his head down, closed his eyes, and sat there for a little bit. And then after a couple of minutes of sitting there, he looked up and said, "Okay, I'll tell you the whole story."
On April 19th, 2016, 10 days after Jordy Hudson was last seen alive, St. Augustine police arrest Harry Branson for her murder. Branson originally claimed he killed Jordy in self-defense, but now he says he's ready to tell the truth about what happened.
We have the whole thing on video. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to be 100% truthful with us. Branson told us that they had left the bar, that they had been hanging out and talking, and at some point, Jordy said something to make him mad.
I don't even know what she had said, but I snapped. I completely lost it, and I don't know why or how.
He punched her in the face. And his story was that at that time, Jordy pulled the steak knife from her purse and tried to attack him.
She swung the knife at me, and I grabbed her hand and shoved it back at her and stabbed her in the throat.
She was much smaller than him, so if he was trying to attack her, I don't know that that is wrong of her to pull a knife. She may have pulled a knife, but you can't tell that from the video.
After his interview and him eventually telling us what had occurred, he agreed that he would give us the location of the body so that we could put Jordy to final rest.
Branson leads police to his property in a rural part of the county.
When you go up and you turn to the yard, there's a fire pit right over there, under the fire pit.
Did you burn her? No.
I buried her. I freaked out. I didn't know what to do.
He told us that he had started a bonfire afterwards so that nobody would see where he had just recently dug up the ground.
All right, so she's buried right there.
Yeah.
We had the evidence technicians from the sheriff's office start coming out, and we started excavating the fire pit Ultimately, we located Jordy Hudson. She was wrapped up in a shower curtain in the hole about 3 feet down.
Her injuries are consistent with what Branson described in his confession. But there's an additional grisly detail he failed to mention.
Apparently, he cut off her fingers to remove the rings. It was unknown if that was a robbery or just an attempt to remove rings that might have helped identify her. What really gets me is that one of those cut off fingers was shoved into one of Jordy's neck wounds.
When the results of lab tests on Branson's mother's car come in, they strengthen the case. The blood is matched to Jordy Hudson.
Officials say Branson has been charged with murder and Thomas has also been charged with accessory to murder.
Branson faces a mandatory life sentence for the murder of Jordy Hudson. But in a bid to avoid life behind bars, he pleads guilty to second-degree murder and abuse of a dead human body.
Branson is a very violent subject. He would not say why he did it. He refused to tell us what exactly she said that made him mad.
Without the video, this crime may never have been solved. We may still be here today trying to find out where Jordy's at.
On May 30th, 2017, 13 months after the murder, Harry Branson is sentenced to 50 years in prison. For her involvement in the crime, Christine Thomas pleads guilty to accessory to second-degree murder and is sentenced to 8 years in prison.
The way she passed, that's just, nobody deserves what happened to her. That's not normal. Makes you think like what you could have done, or what would, could you say something else? It weighs heavy on you. It's something I'll never forget.
To create art seemed like such a natural part of her. She was just larger than life. I regret not acquiring a piece of Jordy's art. She was one of the true originals. I just never expected for her to die, because then it's like the creativity stops,
She a party and she would dance.
When she went to the bar that night, that was the last time we seen her.
She's riding into the night with a mystery man on a motorcycle.
We knew we needed a break. Who is this individual?
I know my daughter. She would contact me.
Is she alive somewhere needing to be rescued?
We started to find more what we believed were human remains.
Somebody knows something and you're not telling, and we need to know.
October 12th, 2012. Jacksonville, Florida. For Sherry Prather, life can be summed up with 3 words: family, fun, and Harleys.
My mom, she was definitely a free spirit. She wasn't one for rules. She did have a lot of friends from a lot of different backgrounds. Mom was very attracted to Harleys. She loved motorcycles, so anytime she seen one, she wanted to go for a ride.
She loved a party and she would dance. She loved to sing karaoke. She could sing really good. She had a beautiful voice. She sounded just like Stevie Nicks. She was not just my daughter, she was my best friend.
Norma Ellis is a young single mom when her daughter Sherry is born.
They laid her on my chest. It was just a shock, like our heart became one. And like they just beat in rhythm together. That just stays with me all the time because it was just like a jolt. It was like we just become one.
Norma strives to give Sherry everything she missed in her own upbringing.
I didn't have a real good childhood. We didn't have a loving family. And I wanted her to be raised to know what it felt like to be wanted, big Christmas and stuff. I tried to cram all that in for her. Anything, if she said she wanted it, if I had to work 2 shifts, I was going to get up for her.
Sherry's childhood is filled with love, but she also has to grow up fast.
She was very caring. If I was in bed sick, she'd come in there every 15 or 20 minutes and put a cold rag on my head, and she always took care of me. I didn't have any help but her, and she was young. We had the tightest relationship, and it was my birthday. She brought me roses. Yeah, she brought me roses.
Like her mother, Sherry falls in love at a young age, and by her early 20s, she's married with 2 baby girls.
That's her, holding one of the kids. The young mother, that's her husband. That was her husband. It didn't last too long.
I think at the time, like when she had us, she was so young, she wasn't ready to be a mom, so she kind of grew up with us.
After 5 years of marriage, the relationship falls apart, and Sherry finds herself a single mom. She moves in with Norma for support.
It was just the 4 of us, all women. We were one. She was close to her girls. She liked the freedom to come and go, and she knew that I was going to be there to take care of the girls.
But after her divorce, despite her mother's support and unwavering love, Sherry hits one rough patch after another.
I've watched my mom go through like a lot of bad relationships where they felt like they could put their hands on her and stuff like that. They tried to control her, which only made her pretty much rebel even more.
Through years of abuse and struggle, Sherry turns to alcohol and drugs to numb the pain.
Her addiction was probably her biggest battle. She battled with that for a very long time.
By the time Sherry is 30 years old, she manages to fight off her demons.
She was clean and sober. She didn't even drink or anything anymore, but she was still a free spirit.
In 2012, after years of sobriety, Sherry is now a 43-year-old mother of 2 adult daughters. Her youngest, Mandy, is 22 and still lives with Sherry and Norma. By now, Sherry has been clean long enough to feel comfortable hanging out with friends at a local bar without drinking. And on October 12th, she makes plans to meet up with some friends at a place called Boots and Bottles.
It's a little hole in the wall, more like bikers and like the older type of crowd.
She said, I am going to walk. I said, get in the car. I would take you rather than you walk because it's a real bad road. And it was dark. It was 10 or 11 o'clock.
So me and Grandma actually took Mom up there. When she went to the bar that night, she was supposed to just hang out. And that was the last time we seen her.
By the following morning, when Sherry hasn't returned home, her mother grows concerned.
I knew that she was missing, because she did not call me. I knew something was wrong the minute she didn't come home.
When a day passes with still no word from Sherry, Norma and Mandy decide to act.
So Monday I told Grandma, I just have a feeling like we need to go to the police station. But because of her background and how old she was, they really didn't want to file a missing persons report. So of course, my grandma being who she is, there was an uproar in there. And they kept trying to tell me, she's a grown woman, we're not filing it. I said, oh yeah, oh yes you are.
Missing person cases, sometimes you hear, you have 24 hours to be reported missing. And that's not really the case. Oftentimes, it's the circumstances surrounding the individual. Is this uncommon for them? Or are there foul play, signs of a struggle, something like that?
With Norma's insistence, the police take the missing persons report. But they are not overly concerned yet and don't immediately begin an investigation.
We don't quite have enough to where you feel confident that something did occur that would cause the missing persons team to react immediately as opposed to not.
But 3 days after Norma last saw Sherry walking into the Boots and Bottles bar, she's convinced otherwise.
You try to go to sleep and wake up in the morning and put your feet on the floor and you think, oh gosh, that was a horrible dream, and you start to walk down the hall and you say, oh no, she's not in there. I know my daughter, and I need some help. Somebody's holding her captive, or she's laying hurt somewhere. Something is wrong.
A relentless mother drives the investigation forward.
I checked all the tips, pleaded on the internet, please come forward, please come forward.
It was really incredible to see the mother's strength and will to just keep going.
But it's a long wait before investigators can confront their prime suspect.
We were fairly confident that a confession was not going to occur with this individual because he has told so many lies.
He stands up the minute they walk out of the room and he bangs his head on the interview table.
3 days after Sherry Prather was last seen, her mother Norma is still struggling to have Jacksonville police take her daughter's missing persons case seriously.
They kept saying, she's an adult, we can't. I said, I want it filed. I will go downtown to whoever I have to. I know my daughter. She would contact me.
And eventually, Norma's entreaties pay off. On October 15th, detectives start their investigation at the bar where Sherry was last seen.
Boots and Bottles is a small establishment. It's just an old-fashioned place to grab a beer in the neighborhood of Ocean Way, but it was popular at the time.
It's a small little dive bar is how I would describe it. Particularly people that ride motorcycles would kind of hang out there.
Sherry Prather was a regular there. That's what we had heard from people. It was kind of the gathering spot for her and her friends.
Investigators first talked to the bar's owner to see if he noticed anything unusual on the night that Sherry vanished.
We're looking, what firsthand knowledge does he have? What secondhand information does he have from his employees or people that were there? So he did tell our detectives that he knew Sherry Prather was there. She was there with a group of friends, and that's all that he could really provide. He was able to say, hey, these were some other people that may have been here at this time. That gave us a direction to go in.
Investigators also searched the bar itself for any clues.
Detectives searched Boots and Bottles for any type of physical evidence, including video footage, anything that could show Sherry
But unfortunately, the bar has no surveillance cameras, and detectives can find no other evidence of any value. They know they need to find potential witnesses, so they begin reaching out to the bar patrons mentioned by the owner and any other regulars they can find who might have been there the night Sherry disappeared.
They said she was there with her friends, and that's when she decides to leave. Little did they know that was going to be the last time that they saw her.
Sherry left in the wee hours of the morning toward closing time. And we did find there were some local gentlemen that openly articulated as a motorcycle club.
They were motorcycle gang members, the outlaws.
And we knew the members of that club didn't even want to speak to the police.
The detectives learned that the biker gang is listed by the FBI as an organized crime ring, linked to illegal activities, including drug trafficking, prostitution, extortion, and money laundering.
So we made contact with those members. Eventually, we knew much of that would be a dead end. We weren't going to get much information from those folks.
Their presence at the location from which Sherry disappeared is worrying, but police find no evidence connecting her and the biker gang. Days pass with no new leads, and the case seems to be hitting a wall. At the same time, word of Sherry's disappearance catches the attention of local news reporters.
At the time, I was a field reporter, and police did not have a lot of information to go on. So certainly, it was a mysterious case. I wanted to talk to Norma. I went to her house and knocked and knocked and knocked, and eventually she came to the door, and you could tell she was disheveled. She doesn't know where her daughter is. Is she alive somewhere needing to be rescued? Obviously, she's going through all of these emotions. And there's a lot of family members that would say, no, we're not able to talk right now. We're too distraught. There's people that would slam the door in my face. Norma came out and did an interview with me.
That was my only child. She was my whole life.
So now she's pleading that someone knows something.
Every night I hear her calling me to unlock the door to let her in, and I can't take it anymore.
I remember she showed a picture of Sherry, and that was the first time we really got to see a picture of this woman who was missing, besides what had been released by police. She had a flyer, and she did everything she could.
If you don't get out and help, your case is not going to get solved. It's just going to be shoved to the bottom. I went out, everybody at the bar gave me information. I checked all the tips. We pleaded on the internet, please come forward, please come forward. We did a lot of posting on Facebook, just about every day, pleading, any tip. I just want some information.
If there was a 1% chance that Sherry was alive, Norma was going to use that 1% chance as motivation to keep going. And it was really incredible to see the mother's strength and will to just keep going.
It's been 3 weeks since Sherry Prather vanished from a Jacksonville bar called Boots and Bottles. Missing persons detectives are failing to gain traction in the investigation.
Obviously, detectives are going to have to keep some things close to the vest. They were struggling, and they were frustrated too at the time. They were having trouble finding leads. So it did become a whodunit.
But Sherry's mother, Norma, and her daughter, Mandy, refused to let the investigation wither.
Me and Grandma actually drove around and went into a lot of bad houses and bad areas trying to find her, just to see if they've seen her, if they talked to her.
And told people at gas stations that looked like dopers, you know, you seen my daughter? I never was afraid.
She's in high crime areas. She's talking to people that could be perceived as dangerous. She's doing everything to find her daughter, and she wasn't going to stop.
We put up posters every morning. Please help. There was a lot of witness. Somebody knows something and you're not telling, and we need to know.
I vividly remember begging with her to please stand down and not place herself in a situation to where harm could come to her. I spoke to Miss Ellis, reassuring her that we were doing everything we can and that we weren't forgetting her case.
We did advise her numerous times to let the officers and the detectives in our office conduct the investigation, all the while knowing that I would probably be doing the same thing she was doing if I was in her shoes.
"30 days into the investigation, police finally get their first solid lead. On November 12, 2012, Teresa Lennox, a childhood friend of Sherry's daughter Mandy, contacts detectives, claiming to have information.
Can you state your name? My name is Teresa Lennox.
Investigators bring her in for an interview.
When I turned on the news and I saw the missing persons report for Sherry Prather, I broke down. I got really upset. I was crying loudly. My uncle came out of his bedroom. That's my Uncle Jack. Uncle Jack. Yeah.
Teresa explains that she has been staying with her uncle for a few weeks while she looks for an apartment. He is a regular at Boots and Bottles.
When Jack came out of his bedroom, he asked me what was going on. And I pointed at the TV, and he said, well, who is that? I said, well, that's Sherry Prather. I said, that's my, really good friend of mine's mother. And he goes, really? He said, that's the one that they've been putting up pictures of all over town. I said, yeah, it is. He said, well, I might know what happened to her. And he said, well, all I know is that supposedly this biker guy killed her over money and dumped her on Braddock Road. That's what he said. That's all I know. And he left it at that.
Detectives press Teresa for the name of the biker. She insists she knows nothing. She says she hasn't seen her Uncle Jack for several days, and investigators are unable to locate him. Meanwhile, another team from the Missing Persons Unit is deployed to Braddock Road, the place Teresa claims Sherry's body was dumped.
It is in a very rural part of the city of Jacksonville. It's a heavily wooded area. It's not a well-lit area. It's a local road.
The investigative team searches through rough terrain, pulling back branches and combing through tall grass. They find bone fragments, but at first glance, they appear to be from an animal.
There were animal carcasses, and that particular location of the woods is known to be a dump site for hunters. They dump deer, hog, wild hog carcasses, and there's quite a few scavengers out there. It was at that time that we made the decision to contact one of our dog handlers who has a dog that specializes in locating human remains.
The highly trained dog gets to work, scouring the discarded bones spread across the field. Then, he signals his handler that he's found something.
The dog located what they believed were human remains. He immediately contacted the on-call homicide team, which was my team, and we responded to the scene. We started to find more what we believed were human remains scattered throughout the woods. There was a potential body that could be Sherry. "30
days after Sherry Prather was last seen,
A tip leads detectives investigating her disappearance to a rugged piece of land in Jacksonville, Florida, where they have found human remains.
We blocked off a large section, shut that area down, and then brought in teams of evidence technicians or crime scene unit detectives to assist us in literally combing the entire woods from the roadway all the way into the woods, which took several days. We located some clothing, some shoes, small piece of jewelry. With great assistance from the K-9, we were able to recover all human remains.
The Office of the Medical Examiner here in Jacksonville were able to locate some living x-rays of Sherry Prather and compare them to the deceased remains of Sherry Prather, and those bones did confirm it was in fact her.
We were all actually at my grandma's house, and they called, and they told us over the phone that they had found remains.
I felt relieved that they had found her, but the thought of animals eating her and taking her was the hardest part for me to take. I thought I was going to die. I thought, this can't be real. This can't be real.
Once they confirmed that it was her, just the thought of it was just pieces, wasn't even like all of her, is I think what truly broke our family.
Homicide detectives take over the case, but they know they face a tough task. Given the condition of Sherry's remains, determining how she died will be difficult.
We decided early on to reach out to an expert, a forensic anthropologist. We knew she was an expert at analyzing bones and determining how they were broken, if they're broken, whether they were shot with a firearm, whether they were stabbed.
The forensic anthropologist gets to work, decoding the secrets Sherry's remains hold.
While that is going on, we're sending detectives to start backtracking. We already know she went missing at Boots and Bottles.
Investigators know Boots and Bottles has no surveillance cameras, but they hope a nearby business might. They go back and canvass the strip mall. They discover that a nearby cell phone store does have a camera, and it points in the direction of the bar's parking lot.
When we watched the video to see if there was anything, it clearly showed Sherry Prather walking out to an individual who was standing by a motorcycle. She gets on that motorcycle, and then they leave the establishment with Sherry on the back as a passenger.
Detectives know they are witnessing Sherry Prather's final moments.
It was mysterious. It's not great video. It's not high quality. It's dark. It would be difficult to identify anyone's facial features from it, but it shows she's riding into the night with a mystery man on a motorcycle leaving a bar.
It's their first look at the person who may be responsible for Sherry's death.
Is this some sort of a motorcycle gang? Is there some bigger criminal activity here? Are we dealing with a serial killer? There's definitely an uneasiness in the neighborhood. And this is not a neighborhood that's immune from crime.
As detectives try to identify the man in the video, they get word from the forensic anthropologist that she reached a conclusion on Sherry's cause of death.
When she found a semicircle beveling in a vertebrae, that absolutely confirmed to us that Sherry Prather was in fact shot.
But detectives have nothing pointing to the identity of her killer.
We knew we needed a break. Who is this individual?
Detectives turned to the public for help, releasing the video of Sherry Prather's final moments to the media. As the video hits the airwaves, tips start pouring in, and one call in particular stands out. It's from a woman named Samantha Johnson, who claims to know the identity of the man seen with Sherry on the video.
We had her come down to homicide.
Today is November 14th, approximately 6:26 p.m. And can you just state your name for me?
Samantha Burleson Johnson.
You saw a news story regarding a missing person, right?
Yes, sir.
And on that news story, there was a video of a man and a woman on a bicycle leaving somewhere.
Yes, sir.
Did you recognize the person on that motorcycle?
Yes, sir.
And who'd you recognize that person to be?
Johnny Wayne Johnson.
Surveillance video has revealed Sherry Prather's final moments, riding on the back of an unidentified man's motorcycle. Now, a witness has come forward claiming to know the identity of the biker in the video.
And who'd you recognize that person to be?
Johnny Wayne Johnson.
Samantha Johnson is Johnny Wayne's wife. They're still currently married, but not living together. They're separated.
In addition to identifying her estranged husband, Samantha tells investigators that she also has information about what happened to Sherry that night.
Okay, what do you say about the girl that was on the back of the motorcycle?
He took her to somewhere off Trout River Boulevard, Braddock Road, and dropped her off.
And at that point, he shot her?
Yes, sir. He said he didn't have enough time to move the female, so he just dragged her into the woods.
Johnny had a conversation with her as to what occurred that evening, proved that he, in fact, killed Sherry, and more importantly, before her body was ever located. He gave very specific information of where he placed the body, and she was able to provide that information.
Detectives begin a deep dive into their new prime suspect, and it's eye-opening.
He had built a character of himself with the local community, and they were truly scared of the guy. But we worked with our intelligence unit, which is the unit that oversees and monitors all the various motorcycle gangs in and around the region, and we had no indication that he was a gang member. The guy had told quite a few stories to build up his presence.
Detectives find Johnny Johnson's address and rush to the location, ready for anything. To their surprise, he calmly welcomes them.
He admitted, yeah, he picked her up at the bar, and he took her and dropped her off at a house. We actually got him to show us the house that she was dropped off at.
But detectives are suspicious of Johnny's version of events. And when they interview the owners of the house, they hear a different story.
We actually were able to determine that nobody ever came by their house. They don't know Sherry Prather. They don't know Johnny Wayne Johnson. That simply didn't occur.
Detectives suspect that Johnny Johnson killed Sherry Prather, but his estranged wife's statement isn't enough to arrest him. They need solid proof.
In a case where you have very little physical evidence, there's no DNA, there's no murder weapon, there's not an intact body, there's no eyewitnesses, we needed more evidence. We asked Sergeant Farhat, his team, to continue to pursue evidence.
That is difficult. Letting them walk out that door makes the hair on the back of your neck stand up when you're like, my God, we know this guy did it. Let's be patient. Time's on our side. We're going to continue and work this case to the very end.
But weeks, then months go by without the homicide team able to find the proof it needs.
Successfully convicting him requires us to prove our case beyond and to the exclusion of every reasonable doubt. So we continued the investigation to the frustration of us all.
Then, Samantha Johnson, also frustrated that her estranged husband is still a free man, agrees to wear a wire to help with the investigation.
It was a detective that was investigating a missing persons case.
Yeah.
Who discovered it off of a tip.
But isn't that the place that you said all this happened?
Like I said, I ain't just.
But what really happened?
It is what it is. Right now, I don't want to really get into it until it's over with, if you understand what I'm saying.
Okay, fair enough.
Samantha is unable to provoke a confession, but she does have another lead to offer the investigators. She tells them she's learned that Johnny had a girlfriend named Jordan Paris, and she's heard through the grapevine that she may have helped him dispose of Sherry's body.
We actually brought her downtown to the homicide office and conducted an interview.
Johnny, who is John Wayne, correct? Johnson. Yeah, her boy. Yes.
She was not completely forthcoming. She did admit pieces that Johnny went out that night. She knew something happened, but was terrified to tell us.
I'm afraid of what will happen if he knows. I don't. He just kept bringing stories up.
Of what?
And some other girl had gotten smart with someone of power.
Mm-hmm.
And they were either going to take care of it or the girl boyfriend had to take care of it. That was a member of the club.
Take care of it as in what?
Beat her.
But investigators continue pressing Jordan for information, confronting her about claims that she helped move Sherry's body.
Obviously, information that was provided that said that you assisted him in moving a body or bodies with your PT Cruiser is inaccurate?
What? No.
Okay, so it is inaccurate.
Yes.
Okay. Your vehicle has never had any human remains in it?
No human remains, no.
We took possession of her car, got a warrant, and we went through every square inch of that car forensically. There was no physical evidence in that car that indicated that Sherry was ever in that vehicle.
Jordan Paris is cleared of any involvement with the disposal of the body, and detectives are no closer to finding the physical evidence they need. Now, they're forced to wonder if their main witness against Johnny, his estranged wife Samantha, is telling them the truth, or if she has ulterior motives for implicating him in a murder.
They were in the process of separating. Was she fabricating these types of statements by him? If she's jealous of the new girlfriend, we knew we needed a break. We needed a witness or witnesses that sure may have been close to the defendant, but had no motive to lie.
The detective said, we've got one shot is all we have because they could not find the gun. To put this murder charge on him, we have to have more evidence. And I said, I cannot take this anymore.
The break they need eludes the detectives, and for 4 years, there are no new leads. Then, in 2016, a man named Mike Carroll calls police, saying he's been too frightened of Johnny Johnson to say anything, but has finally found the courage to speak up. He tells investigators that on the night of the murder, he received a phone call from Johnny.
It was the wee hours, 4 or 5 in the morning, And Johnny Wayne Johnson told him he messed up and he needed some help cleaning something up. He told him he had dumped Sherry in the woods, that he wanted help finding ways to hide the remains. Of course, Michael Carroll refused.
So that was the critical piece, the final piece.
After 4 years investigating the murder of Sherry Prather, authorities have finally found the witness they need. On November 18, 2016, armed with the account of a man who says he was asked to help dispose of Sherry's body, investigators bring Johnny Johnson in for a critical round of questioning.
Our goal is simple, and that's to get a confession. So we brought him in to homicide.
Johnny, do you remember a detective talking to you 4 years ago about the girl that was missing from Boots and Bottles?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I took him to where I dropped her off at. Yeah.
Do you remember her?
Yeah. I've been keeping up with the story in hopes that y'all catch the person who does it.
Now, we were fairly confident that a confession probably was not going to occur with this individual because he has told so many lies, but we still tried.
Not being honest, Johnny, but you got to explain your side of the story.
And I have been. I dropped her off on Trout River.
But you didn't.
I did.
You took her to Braddock Road.
No, I don't know about Braddock Road.
Yes, you do, Johnny. It's right there. It's right there. You've been down it several times.
As the detectives started presenting him with the case and questioning him what occurred, they said, look, we know you're lying.
I done told you.
That's not the whole story.
It is the whole story. That's all I know, and I didn't do it. You can believe what you want to believe. I did not do it. I swear on my father's grave.
Just denials. I didn't tell him that. I didn't tell my girlfriend that. I didn't tell my wife that version. I didn't tell her anything. It was a multitude of denials throughout his interview.
Can I go home?
No, you cannot.
Why is that?
Because I'm charging you with murder.
I didn't do murder.
Well, I'm charging you with it, and we can prove it, Johnny.
No, you cannot, because I didn't do it.
He stands up the minute they walk out of the room, and he bangs his head on the interview table.
Oh, bud.
Detectives call EMTs to check Johnson out. Once he's given the all clear,
You are good to go.
they charge him with murder. As prosecutors prepare to bring Johnny Johnson to trial, his lawyers approach them with a plea offer.
We reached that plea agreement of 20.4 years in prison to second-degree murder, which is what he was charged with. We took that offer to the victim's family, and as you can imagine, the family was very happy to get him to finally acknowledge legally in a courtroom that he was in fact guilty.
I looked at Mandy and she said, Grandma, as old as he is, he got 20 and a half years, and he was supposed to have already been sick. She said, he'll never live to come out of there.
The only thing that I felt was I did feel a little relief knowing that he wasn't out there and that he couldn't do it to anybody else and ruin anybody else's family. But at the same time, it's like you put my family through a lot, and in our minds, like the sentence that he got wasn't enough. I do remember her ambition and her fight. Like she never gave up. It didn't matter, and she's very headstrong. So when she has like something in her head, like she's gonna get to that point, no matter what it takes her.
This one was just a few days before she disappeared because she had just gotten her glasses. We're in the backyard. She never wore glasses before, and she said, oh, I'm not going to wear these. I said, well, if you want to see. I didn't know this would be the very last picture. She was just sweet and That's why I miss her, because we did so much together. I didn't want anything to happen to her, and I would give anything if it had happened to me instead of her. I wish that 1,000 times.
ਦਿਲ ਦਿਆ ਸੋਹਣਿਆ ਜਾਨੀਆਂ ਹੁਣ ਰਾਤ ਨੂੰ ਨੀ ਸੌਂਦੇ ਆ ਦਿਲ ਦਿਆ ਸੋਹਣਿਆ ਜਾਨੀਆਂ ਹੁਣ ਰਾਤ ਨੂੰ ਨੀ ਸੌਂਦੇ ਆ ਤੇਰੇ ਕੋਲੋਂ ਵਕਤ ਹੋ ਕੇ ਹੁਣ ਲੁਕ ਲੁਕ ਰੋਂਦੇ ਆ ਤੇਰੇ ਕੋਲੋਂ ਵਕਤ ਹੋ ਕੇ ਹੁਣ ਲੁਕ ਲੁਕ ਰੋਂਦੇ ਆ ਦਿਲ ਦਿਆ ਸੋਹਣਿਆ ਜਾਨੀਆਂ ਕਾਨੂੰ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਫੋਨ ਕੀਤਾ ਦਿਲ ਦਿਆ ਸੋਹਣਿਆ ਜਾਨੀਆਂ ਕਾਨੂੰ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਫੋਨ ਕੀਤਾ ਉਹਦਾ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਦੀ ਸ਼ਕਣਾ ਦੀ ਮੇਰੇ ਜਿਗਰ ਦਾ ਫੋਨ ਕੀਤਾ ਦਾ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਦੀ ਸ਼ਕਣਾ ਦੀ ਮੇਰੇ ਜਿਗਰ ਦਾ ਫੋਨ ਕੀਤਾ ਦਿਲ ਦਿਆ ਸੋਹਣਿਆ ਜਾਨੀਆਂ ਕਿਉਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਦਗਾਵੇ ਕੀਤਾ ਦਿਲ ਦਿਆ ਸੋਹਣਿਆ ਜਾਨੀਆਂ ਕਿਉਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਦਗਾਵੇ ਕੀਤਾ ਪੁੱਛ ਦਿਲ ਜ਼ਖਮੀ ਕੋਲੋਂ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਜੁਦਾ ਕੀਤਾ ਪੁੱਛ ਦਿਲ ਜ਼ਖਮੀ ਕੋਲੋਂ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਜੁਦਾ ਕੀਤਾ ਦਿਲ ਦਿਆ ਸੋਹਣਿਆ ਜਾਨੀਆਂ ਛੋੜਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਹਿ ਸਕਦਾ ਸੀ ਦਿਲ ਦਿਆ ਸੋਹਣਿਆ ਜਾਨੀਆਂ ਛੋੜਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਹਿ ਸਕਦਾ ਸੀ ਤੇਰੇ ਕੋਲੋਂ ਦੂਰ ਹੋ ਕੇ ਕਦੇ ਰਹਿ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਸੀ ਤੇਰੇ ਕੋਲੋਂ ਦੂਰ ਹੋ ਕੇ ਕਦੇ ਰਹਿ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਸੀ ਦਿਲ ਦਿਆ ਸੋਹਣਿਆ ਜਾਨੀਆਂ ਇਹ ਵਿਛੋੜੇ ਵੇ ਪੈ ਗਏ ਨੀ ਦਿਲ ਦਿਆ ਸੋਹਣਿਆ ਜਾਨੀਆਂ ਇਹ ਵਿਛੋੜੇ ਵੇ ਪੈ ਗਏ ਨੀ ਉਹ ਤੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਜੀਣੇ ਦੇ ਅਰਮਾਨ ਹੀ ਰਹਿ ਗਏ ਨੀ ਤੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਜੀਣੇ ਦੇ ਅਰਮਾਨ ਹੀ ਰਹਿ ਗਏ ਨੀ ਦਿਲ ਦਿਆ ਸੋਹਣਿਆ ਜਾਨੀਆਂ ਕਿੱਸਾ ਹੀ ਮੁਕਾ ਸਕਿਆ ਦਿਲ ਦਿਆ ਸੋਹਣਿਆ ਜਾਨੀਆਂ ਕਿੱਸਾ सटिया वो चंगे भले वसदे सां तकदीर रुला सटिया चंगे भले वसदे सां तकदीर रुला सटिया दिल दिया सोने जानिया किस्मत दे खेल होंदे दिल दिया सोने जानिया किस्मत दे खेल होंदे जिन्ना सच्चा प्यार होंदा नहीं दुनिया ते मेल होंदे जिन्ना सच्चा प्यार होंदा नहीं दुनिया ते मेल होंदे दिल दिया सोने जानिया कुछ गल्लू मजबूर होंदे दिल दिया सोने जानिया कुछ गल्लू मजबूर होंदे सुखी नहीं जावेद वेखे जड़े सजना तू दूर होंदे सुखी नहीं जावेद वेखे जड़े सजना तू दूर